was apprehensive when it was first suggested to me to see a chiropractor, and I was working with a nurse, and she says, I go all the time, and it's so much better now since I've been going to him.
Yeah, well, Dr. Mark is the type of guy that makes you feel extremely good. I mean, from my first adjustment that I ever had from him, I went back to work that day, and I felt just a calming sensation over my body.
Dr. Mark's very sincere. He does everything from the depths of his soul and the bottom of his heart. I was a patient before I started working for him, and I always marveled at how in such a short amount of time, just the time that an adjustment would take, he really was able to connect, and he made you feel like you were getting his full attention. Not just a piece of his time, but a piece of his heart.
Oh, get big smile there, buddy. Come on now. Oh, is that Indiana?
120 miles an hour, you fall out the sky for like a minute straight.
That's fast.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. That's the verse that we stand on and live by in the office. My job as a chiropractor and somebody in the preventative field is to help you be able to heal and function at your optimum with minimizing the amount of drugs you might be taking so that you can heal and function the best that you can.
How long do you take care of something like this once you understand how to take care of it? For the rest of your life. So from this point forward, right? From the time that we're born till the time that you come in here, there's a story. There's a story of what you've done to this thing.
I know that I was supposed to be here in Michigan, in Battle Creek, meeting my wife, this is where she's from, and bring back the roots of health, which is exactly where this building is right here. This is the building that I used to wake up in the morning and drive by to appreciate the fact that one man paid for this entire building with 1,200 employees. He didn't charge anybody. It was the royalties from his books that paid for that whole thing. It's gone, you know, to a W.K. Kellogg Foundation. And I sit there and look at that today and I'm thinking to myself, you know, this state deserves a fair shake and a good solid approach to health. And I believe that this is where it's going to start.
Basically, I was taking medication and I wanted to see about getting off of that medication. But I couldn't get off of it because I had muscle aches and I had shoulder aches and I had tingling feet, pain in the arm between the shoulders and neck. And it never occurred to me that perhaps my back was out of alignment.
She'd been on numerous pain medications, and she told me she's always known it was wrong. We immediately showed her x-rays, showed her, you know, the concerns that we had and things that we knew that we could do to help her.
And after the third day, I started feeling better.
That within a couple of weeks, she said, you know what, doctor, I'm not taking any more meds. I told her, I said, I don't prescribe or unprescribe. Go in and get it checked out, let your physician know that prescribed you those drugs, what's going on. And so he said, you know what, whatever you're doing, keep doing.
So here I am going on my 6th week without any medication at all. I feel really great. And when I tell people, you know, about, you know, how I feel and everything, they say, well, it worked that fast? Of course. It worked for me. All I can say is that I highly recommend it. She's
inviting people in all the time. She wants me to go speak to her group that she goes to lunch with on a monthly basis because she's not the only one that deserves that. Every person that comes through this door knows that they're being added to, understands why they're getting on this table. I don't just pick them up and throw them on the table. They actually know what they need to do when they come in here because they know why they're here. It's to actually experience health and vitality as best as they can. And so these are some of the ideas I want you to walk away with and know that when we go in the back, it's a stewardship campaign. If you take care of this, you're going to be given more. I started out in just the beginning of '92, getting my degree at the end of '91, and I started working in the pharmaceutical industry. As I, got out of that industry and then went into chiropractic and preventative health, I started really wanting to be a bridge to people, making positive, right decisions when it came to their health, as opposed to just trying to cover things up with a drug.
As students, we kind of looked at Dr. Mark kind of as like a superstar kind of guy. He had this awesome practice in this, beautiful building. And so he was definitely had the kind of practice that, we all kind of aspire to have. He's got that amazing background in the biochemistry, and he's working on a degree in herbology. And I'm currently right now taking a course to become a certified functional medicine practitioner, which deals a lot with nutrition and holistic and alternative ways to treat chronic disease and autoimmune disorders. And so it's really cool to work for someone who has such a vast knowledge, because he can pretty much answer any question I have about, supplements, nutrition, food, disease, stuff like that.
I quit full-time employment in preparation for having my daughter, and within 5 months I was re-employed here part-time with Dr. Mark, and he allowed me to bring Charlotte to work with me. He still does, Charlotte and now my son Max. It would be utter chaos at times, and he just thrives in that sort of environment, and I do too, and that made us a really good match.
We ask that you just give us the words to say and the heart to move people in a better direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
He's very big on family. His family is very close. They're always laughing together, very loving, and you can see it through the kids' eyes that they were raised in a very warm home. They're not your typical family, but that's a good thing. It's good to see that two people who have struggled in the past can actually overcome their obstacles and are able to raise a family and put good morals and values in their kids.
Our son was born in April of '93, and we were told he wasn't going to make it through the night. He had gotten diagnosed with pervasive developmental disorder.
What does that even look like? That's a big mouthful. As a mom, you're just always picturing your kids in school and doing sports or doing what we had done, and that's when they made the statement, well, he's probably not going to amount to much more than maybe he could push a broom around, and he's going to be dependent on you for the rest of his life.
It was a reality, shock for me, but she's always been the action steps person. Mm-hmm. She's always been like, okay, well, it's time to do something different. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, what do we want to do?
We go out to school for Mark to get a career to, to support Jake for the rest of his life, because I figured if he's going to sweep a floor, he's going to sweep our floor. I wanted to know, how can I help him to be the best that he could be? And so with that, I just started, digging and researching and just trying to figure out. I took Jacob to the University of Iowa. He ended up getting diagnosed with mild autism. Then I went to the local school where he was a special ed student, and I basically begged them to let Jake have a chance. And they agreed to pay for 36 hours a week for Jake to do therapy for the next 2 years. And then Jake just started doing everything the program said he was going to do.
He was just working really hard, and I think by the time he was 8, he was like within 6 months of his, age group appropriate things he was doing.
It was just so surreal just knowing that, I'm going to try not to cry, but he ended up getting Homecoming King, and it was I always go back to what the doctors had told us, early on in his life, that he would be dependent on us for the rest of his life, and that he wouldn't be attending homecomings or proms or anything like that. From what we were told, it was the biggest landslide that the school had ever seen. It was a huge deal. So I mean, it was a huge deal. It was a huge deal. We went out to school for him to have a career to support a son like that, and instead he ended up getting an awesome career at something he loves, and we ended up getting a son that we never thought we were going to have.
I've seen what hope will do. It's not just about the chiropractic philosophy, it's about having hope and being able to stay a course and follow through with it. And I think that that was the biggest thing that I see with people is they're just like totally withered. Their spirit is crushed. They go through the mill and then are told this is as good as it's going to get, and then they're like, you know what, my friend told me about you, and so I'm just going to give you a fling, you know? And it's like, the cool thing is that when you are able to get across and see a light bulb go on, it's like there's hope for me to insert that information into you. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm also here to keep you accountable so we can actually get you to a place you've never been. And we can do that. So you're in the right place, okay? All right, I'll see you back there in a few minutes.
I had been coming here about 3 months. I got off one of the adjustment tables and I walked back into where the rest of the people were waiting, and all of a sudden I felt like I was human again.
She heard the message, the doctor's report, where I went over good x-rays, bad x-rays, hers in a private setting, explained to her how this office works, gave her an understanding of how health is not disease. Health is actually something you pursue. Disease is something that you just fall into.
We were at the swimming hole and I dove in too shallow and I suffered a long time. I didn't know at that time, I just suffered through it.
She was making healthier choices and stuff, but again, she never really knew about what we were talking about when it came to her structure and her spine. And so when she heard it the first time, I mean, there was tears in her eyes when I was going over her x-rays with her, because she said, I've never heard this before. And from that time forward, I always spend, 4 or 5 times a week going over x-ray reviews with existing patients, and then once or twice a week I'll go over doctor's reports, which is where I go over new patients' x-rays and give them the plan that we have for them to help them be the best that they can be.
I was in physical therapy for 22 months. That's a long time. I just kept going to physical therapy because I knew that it was making a difference for me. And they gave me special exercises to do, and I am doing things here that I would not be doing at home normally.
She just wanted to know more, and she wanted to learn more, and then she started bringing more patients in, because understand that once you find something out that works, that's when patients bring in patients. And that's really what we want to do. Is I want to fire up people so much in this office for health like I have for Frida, and like she's received it. That's another thing too. I can be as on fire as I want to, but if there's no understanding there, if I don't know that that information's being actually received and spoken back to me, I don't know. She's not being educated, she's just being talked at. Well, she received it. When it comes to my diagnosis of type 1 diabetes, I was diagnosed about 5 years ago, and it was during a really hard time. I was talking to people about it and I was helping other people. In the meantime, I was actually stressed out to the gills, and I was actually getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So I was serving people while I wasn't paying attention to my own health. I spent a little bit of time feeling sorry for myself and didn't want to really be a part of anything. And then I had gotten an email about being a Triabetes participant. Now, Triabetes actually is an organization that co-labors with young kids that have diabetes and teaches them that they don't have to sit on the couch and just take insulin, and don't go, for heaven forbid, you go out and start running and exercising, because they're always fearing of going low with their blood sugars. I'm doing a lot more of training in a gym, doing functional fitness, CrossFit type stuff. In the last 6 months, I've done a couple 50K races and stuff, and the runs that I'm doing aren't 4 and 5 hours long for training. They're actually a little more intense, and they may be 1 to 2 hours with some gym work 4 to 5 times a week. What I started doing is looking into a way to strengthen people's spines and their bodies through these core workouts, and CrossFit was a great fit for that. It is my duty to make sure that I'm as healthy as I can be so I can actually practice what I preach and make sure people understand that I would never have them do something that I don't do.
One of the things that Dr. Mark really caught my attention with was not just focusing on what problems you have and trying to get you away from that problem, but also trying to help you get to the level of health and being able to prevent problems in the future. I actually was referred from my barber. He gave me a really wonderful story about his experience and how it's transformed him and made his life better, and I was curious.
I'm a barber by trade, and I've been working as a barber for the last, 40 years. It's kind of physically demanding because you got to do a lot of standing. I was going through a lot of medical problems, digestive problems, fatigue. I never got a good night's sleep.
He's an incredible barber, and he does all sorts of hair. You know, just everybody in the community knows Tommy. And when he started coming in, he was not only having aches and pains, but he was also depressed.
I was dealing with an internal medicine doctor. What he was doing was giving me medication. He sent me to a sleep study. They gave me a breathing machine to struggle with all night. Never did me a bit of good.
When you have, pressure on your nervous system, the brain is not able to get the information out to the rest of your system like it's supposed to. So as you grow older and you just keep using yourself, your head keeps saying go, and your body continues to get a half a step, a full step, a step and a half, 2 steps behind you. And so then you start going, I'm not what I used to be. So his psychology, I think, behind it all was that I'm starting to fall apart.
He had got to a point where he almost thought he was going to die soon.
He started my adjustments, and gradually I actually started feeling better, and I started sleeping through the night, and I got to feeling so good. I thought I was wasting my time coming out here, because I was just feeling okay and felt like I was just coming out here for gymnastics. So I stopped. It was a gradual stop, but I stopped. And lo and behold, just very gradually, I start slipping back in the same situation, the same irritable feeling in my guts, chronic fatigue, and I didn't let it get as bad, and I come back to screaming for Dr. Mark again.
I want everybody to have a Tommy experience. I want them to be able to do all the things that they do in their workplace, and then be able to pull out of their back pocket that trump card, which is the energy that they need to pour into the important parts of their life, which is their family and themselves and the things that they love to do.
I'm still on some medications because I have a very particular arthritis, and I do work retail, so I'm on my feet 40 hours a week. And I am working a full shift now instead of, half days and partial days and using up all my sick time. Dr. Mark has been a real blessing.
Her husband was here with her, supporting her the whole way, which was awesome. I always recommend that because he loves you. He needs to know what's going on in here. And then it turned out that he started coming in too, but it's because he understood. It's like, I want to be around for her just like I want her to be around for me.
I came in basically with just lower back problems, and had the x-rays and went through the first couple of adjustments. I really hurt. I went, oh, I'm not sure about this. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, wait a minute. There's a whole lot of relief. I stood back in amazement and watched her do things that she hasn't done in 3, 4, 5 years.
But the fact that I can now go to my grandson's football games and his baseball games and watch him with minimal pain is a godsend.
She started getting adjusted. Next thing you know, she starts pursuing her health and just really getting immersed in what we're doing in here. And she's like literally no limping, functioning at a level that, she's got the whites of her eyes are back, the lights in her eyes are back. Because when pain will take you down that downward spiral, that'll just make you feel terrible, and you'll just be working way too hard to just exist.
We even got our daughter to start coming here because she was having so many problems.
It was really amazing what Dr. Mark has done for her.
And I tell a lot of people, go see him.
Oh, yeah? What else you want to hear? Okay, is that it? That's the song I wrote, actually. Yeah, man.
There's nothing to say, man. It's la la la, it's music to his ears.
I've got a wife that I absolutely adore. Even 20 years into it, and it's more than it's ever been. And Jake, knowing that he has been prepared, and we're going to continue to do that over the next few months to get him ready for a huge leap that we know that he's supposed to be doing. And then, you know, we got an incredible daughter, Macy, coming into her senior year this year, and she's just developing into an incredible woman.
With Jake and Macy, well, Macy being the volleyball girl that she is, she made All-City this last year, and Macy definitely has been a huge support system for Jake in ways that he may not have even recognized.
We love to eat food together, and we like to go out on the boat. We like to do water sports and stuff like that, but I think that it's just it's a way for us to be able to just be together and have fun. I know I couldn't ask for a better situation than that. And then to top it off, you know, obviously after Missy and the kids is my practice with just a whole dynamic coming in where I think that I'm just starting to get a little bit more mature in my not old age, but older than I was last year, you know, where I'm learning to help people succeed, not just patients, but actually you know, members in our staff and that kind of thing in my office as well. So I'm really feeling like things are starting to come together. It's really pretty cool. When you're helping people, you want to be in the moment with them. You want to listen, because people that are hurting want to be heard. I think that recognizing a need and doing what you can to come alongside and help people, give them perspective, and really hopefully sort of help them overcome by giving them that dose of faith that we have ourselves, letting them know that we really care.
They're willing to work with you no matter what, because his first priority is you feeling better, not the dollars sitting in his pocket. I mean, there's some good chiropractors in this town, but Dr. Mark really takes it above and beyond.
Give it a few tries before you say no, because I know that my pain was relieved considerably.
I used to measure myself by how tired I am. And now I get through and I'm not even tired, you know, so that the fatigue level is pretty much gone.
I just hate that it took me so long to find him. And I come religiously, and I just feel great.
He just is so into the people and so into loving them and making that connection with them, whether it's a sport that the person's playing or an event that's coming up in their life, a trip that they're taking, something they're struggling with.
I always feel like part of Dr. Mark's family because he makes you so comfortable when you're here.
Give it a try. Hey, he will relieve all of your worries and your tense feelings.
Based on personal experience, I've had, with Jake, being diagnosed with autism, Macy having issues of her own, my own struggles with my health, it's really brought us to a place of where there's no way that if we didn't have our faith, thus we didn't have our hope, we would be, nowhere. And one of the things that we do in this office is that based on my experiences and my own testimony, I'm able to come alongside and help people and give them that hope, give them that faith, and be able to help them be, take their health to the next level. And that's really why we call this place the Lighthouse Professional Center, because we want this building and the people in it to be a lighthouse of hope for people.